to consider the following factors when assigning court costs, such as the ability of each party to pay, the respective fault of each party in causing the divorce, or if either party was responsible for prolonging the proceedings. Based on the evidence recorded in record, I am arguing that Judge McMillan showed clear bias by assigning 75% of the costs and fees to me. Next, the most important issue I have on appeal is that this court should vacate the erroneous August 12, 22 order that voided my marriage to Ms. McCabe. It is clear that Judge McMillan's decision to void my marriage is not allowable based on Tennessee Code 363102. To be clear, Ms. McCabe falsely claimed that I was still married to a Miss Amy Boring, even though I have had 2 marriages since marrying Miss Boring in 1992.
Was there proof that you were divorced?
I provided proof of the divorce. I provided the proof that Miss Boring, after the 5-year span, also remarried and still is married. I got married, I got divorced, met her, and married her.
There was proof of an actual divorce that was filed?
I put it in evidence.
Where was that divorce?
South Carolina.
Okay.
Let me ask you, if you say you had proof of the divorce, why are you relying on the statute provision that says...
No, not divorce from Amy Boring. The statute says after 5 years, if not knowing if they're alive or not, well, a month after I met her, she disappeared. And I've never heard from her till 2013 when she looked her up. After 5 years, she fell in the statute herself. She married Robert Wells. After 5 years, I fell into the statute and married. And then I was married for like 6 years, and then I got divorced from Rashida Shabazz. And the judge even used that in the hearing prior to say that since I was married and divorced prior to Amy and after Amy born, Miranda, that he didn't void my marriage. He said it was a valid marriage to Miss McCabe. But in the next trial, he said, well, I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to, he didn't, when he cited his reasons, he didn't show that I put any evidence in to show that both of us fell into this 363102. 5 years, we had no contact. I had no idea. 1 month, she was gone, that was it. And I proved it, showed it, put evidence in.
You had contact with her in 2013, didn't you?
Yes. But prior to that, I was already married and remarried.
Let's talk about your contact before you married the Appellant.
Oh,
that
yeah.
was 1 year prior to this new marriage, right?
Yes.
And you knew then where she was and that you were not divorced from her.
No. She told me I was divorced. If she told me, William, we are still married, I would have married her. I would have said, well, let's get a divorce. It's really simple. But she told me she got a divorce. And I said, well, thank you.
And when she testified at trial, did she say she told you that?
No, she acted like she couldn't remember nothing of anything. She said she don't remember this, don't remember that, don't remember this, but I didn't get divorced.
She did remember enough to say that she never told you in 2013 that you were divorced from her.
Nope. But if I enacted the law, if it says after 5 years you can remarry, and she remarries and I remarry, and then I divorce and she stays married, and then somewhere down the line I run into her, does that say that that law that I just completed and was part of, that I enacted, just goes away and now everything is different? The law is there for a reason, and I fell under it. I did exactly what it said, and so did she. Anything else? Judge McMillan initially entered an order on February 4th that established my marriage to Ms. McCabe as valid, citing the existence of my prior marriage and divorce from Rashida Shabazz. However, in August 12th order, Judge McMillan ignored my marriage and divorce from Rashida and refused to acknowledge Exhibit 1 in the August 12th 23 order, which was Amy's born and her current husband, Robert Wells' marriage certificate. These
Sir,
actions...
You've used your time. You've used,
Oh, wow.
that's why we have that timer up there, because once you start arguing, you kind of lose track of time, but you still have your 1 minute of rebuttal.
That kept me from saying everything.
Ma'am, before you start, do you have any questions? I'm sorry.
I do have a couple questions.
Okay.
Do I need to address each issue in the order in which he...
No, ma'am, it's your argument. You address it however you want to address it.
Can I actually have a second before I start?
Yes, ma'am, you need some water? What I need for you to do after, when we start, is tell us who you are, and then just tell us however you want to tell us.
My name is Miranda McCabe, and I'm here because Mr. Craig has filed to have all of this stuff undone. Honestly, I don't have anything to read or anything. It's just... Mr. Craig is just, I sat and I've just heard lies after lies. I don't even know where to start, but Mr. Craig knew he was still married to Amy Boring, and he actually provided the evidence of the Facebook messages from Miss Amy Boring saying, you know, that he had talked to her. Therefore, the law is the law. He knew he was still legally married to her, and he married me. I paid $1,800 because Mr. Craig knew that his marriages, he was still worried he was married to Rashida Shabazz. He never got a divorce from her. I found that he was divorced from her by Googling it, and she put an ad in the newspaper because he was gone, she couldn't find him. That's the only reason why he's divorced from her. He talks about not knowing he was still married to her, but if my first attorney had done me right, we would have evidence of Facebook messages between him and Miss Amy Boring. He sent her flowers to the hospital. He told her, don't speak to my attorney, don't speak to her attorney, we're still married. My attorney, I kept telling him from the beginning what it was, and he took my money, and we even had an agreed mediation where he agreed that the marriage was void. At that time, I was willing to share custody with Sophie, hoping that he would act in her best interest. It has been a nightmare for, I can't even believe, I think it's like almost 3 years now. So he can't even give reasons why I shouldn't raise our daughter when I can stand up here and get all day long with the reasons and things that he has done. I don't know if it's to hurt me or why he's doing it. But even he had Sophie for fall break, and he didn't even take her to speech therapy. Then he stands up here and says that because my oldest daughter, who I found out when she was 18, something emotionally distressing happened to her that was tied to his family, his brother's side of his family. And so I took her out of public school. I put her in online school. She's still struggling with that, but she got her GED. I didn't do anything wrong but trust the wrong people in my life, including Mr. Craig. he talks about my son. I never put my kids on the stand. I didn't want to fight. I want peace. My kids have been through enough. My son wants to come and talk about why he's emotionally disturbed and has issues. It wasn't until I've been away and had zero contact from Mr. Craig when he kicked in my door that my son has been getting help, and all of the truths and the manipulation and seeing everything for what it is comes out. He's got even my sister convinced I'm horrible, and I'm okay with all that. I just want peace. I don't even know what Mr. Craig wants. If he's wanting, which he's said in numerous texts to me, he's not going to quit until he gets Sophie, and he don't care if he goes to jail. So I have to keep going through this. I can never have peace and heal from the past with him, for myself, for my kids, for Sophie. If Mr. Craig would do right by Sophie, then he could see Sophie more. He uses her as a bargaining chip. Who shaves an 8-year-old child's sideburns and then lies about it. So my daughter knows her dad to be a liar. Because you did that. She took a razor to her. She's told 3 or 4 people. Then I call him out on it, and then he cuts the length of her hair the next visitation. I mean, I don't know what Mr. Craig wants other than to have me up here shaken and sick like I've been for 3 years, and he's got it. So I don't know what else he wants. He talks about the marriage and the house. There is nothing. I'm broke. All my credit cards are in collections. You want me to make money in this stuff so I can go back to nursing, so I can have a future and be happy for my kids, for Sophie. So, I mean, he talks about the money on the thing that he provided in the court. My dad has been giving me money and helping me to get by. This is stressful. Even trying to come here today, I had stacks of paperwork, and he acts like it's all the court's doing, but he's the one that keeps filing things. I don't even read it all. It's all meant to disturb and upset and keep me in an emotional distress state. And I've tried to get him to work with me for Sophie, and he said, "Oh, I won't work with you because you want this or you want that." It's like it's for our daughter. And this was early on. Even when he had her half the time, he wouldn't do the school things that were due on the days that she was going back to school, and I'd reach out to him and be like, "Can you meet me early so she can glue these letters on her letter vest?" "No, we get to school at this time." I mean, my kid's been lost through Knox County school system because he decided to put her on a bus on his days and not even discuss it like parents and get a plan. Our daughter's been diagnosed with a learning disability that I can't even put my full focus on that because of all this court stuff that's just never ending with him. And what he's claiming he wants, he already had. I offered to give him anything he wanted out of the house just to leave so we could have peace. He didn't want that. The guy I was seeing at the time tried to give him $7,500, and I had $7,500, which was all I had stashed, and I was going to give it to him. He would have had 15 grand, his kid half the time, and he could have walked through and took anything he wanted out of the house. He didn't want it. He's only wanted to hurt me. I don't even know what for. He talks about the dog business. The very dogs that he stood over and harassed me while I'm trying to take care of, he told me, "If you don't come to the house and deal with them, I'm calling animal control. I'm hauling them off." But yet it's not a business I can just sell to someone that's worth money. It's what I put into it. It's what I do. It's the people I deal with. It's the training I deal with them. It's a lot of work. It's a lot harder than any nursing job I've ever had. But I can't seem to move on because Mr. Craig wants to drag me to court constantly. If it's not to court, it's getting papers constantly about, I don't even know honestly what it is he's even trying. to get other than Sophie back. And he won't do right with Sophie. Sophie's told her older sister and me now, on the weekends that Daddy has her, he's going to work. He's working for my sister. He talks about not being able to go. I don't even care about the income and stuff, but he talks about not being able to go out fishing. He's done it his whole life. He's told me all the time, oh, there's old men that still do it. But he's working construction with my sister, who's buying Knoxville houses and renting them, and Farragut, and he's constantly working? For $500 a week, you work 80 hours a week, where you can't even take the weekend off? You have my daughter?
You need to address the court,
So
not
it's just
anybody else in the courtroom.
He says all of this stuff, and none of it adds up. It's all riddled with lies and manipulation. And but the law is the law, and he was still legally married to Amy Boring, and he knew about it a year before he married me. And we were supposed to dissolve it peacefully, and I believe my sister got involved, and he jumped on that bandwagon and decided to get in cahoots with my mom, and everything's been against me the whole time. I'm horrible. All I want is peace and the best for our daughter. Our marriage is invalid. It's not... I don't know. I don't think I have anything else to say other than I just want all of this to end. And Mr. Craig hasn't done right by Sophie. Talks about wanting the final permanent order redone, but he won't even take her to speech therapy when he had her on fall break, and he didn't travel or go anywhere. There was no reason why he couldn't take her. Mr. Craig talks about the civil contempt and court costs. I'm just so confused because I submitted text messages in my brief of him saying that he wasn't trying to put me in jail, the judge was, that I need to wake up, it's all the judge. But I'm pretty sure Mr. Craig tried to have me put in jail because I don't even know why. I went through and I got all the documents. I'm not very technical as far as emailing and all that, and I went and gathered up everything that I could and submitted it. So as far as the issue one, I don't know. I feel like the judge did the best that he could given what he had to work with and from the law standpoint. So I think that that's all that I have. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Mr. Craig, you have 1 minute rebuttal time, sir.
The appellee has not submitted a viable brief because her case simply has no merit. Ms. McCabe has no evidence to cite in the record, as her entire case has been based upon unfounded accusations. I want to point out to this court, Ms. McCabe never presented any evidence and never asked me any questions of the 12 hearings. And lastly, I'm arguing that the court should reverse Judge McMillan's denial of my recusal motion. I feel that if you guys put me back in his court, if you change my void of marriage or anything, and I go back in front of him, I would not get a fair trial through him.
Craig, let me ask you, on your notice of appeal, it doesn't appear that you even list an appeal as to that order denying your motion for recusal.
Say that again?
It does not appear that you appealed the order denying recusal.
I didn't.
Did not. You don't list that order as an order that you're appealing. Do you have your notice of appeal?
Should have. I'm sure it's in my brief. I've cited everything I needed in my
I'm
brief.
not talking about your brief. I'm talking about on your notice of what you were appealing. You don't list that order as one that you're appealing.
I
You
Not
filed
quite
this yourself,
understanding.
right? You filed the notice yourself?
Yes.
Okay. That's all.
All right, thank you, folks. Unlike the trial court, we do not rule at the end of the proof. We will take this matter under advisement, and we will do our best to get you an opinion as quickly as possible. What will happen is an opinion will be prepared, it'll be filed, and it'll be sent to both of you at the same time. Okay? Any questions about that? All right. Madam Clerk, if you